Hey guys, what is good? What is going on? Welcome to the Nevermind podcast. My name is Matt, I'm your host, and this is episode 140 with the band Eat Your Heart Out. I sat down with front lady Caitlin of the band Eat Your Heart Out for a lovely little chat all about their new record. We chat about her debut in terms of being on a stage. We spoke about our mutual love for Code Orange, which is super awesome, and lots of other things, which is coming to you right now in this very podcast. Play the intro music, Matt. Bye. Hi guys, welcome to the Nevermind podcast. We are back for another episode, and this is episode 140 off the top of my head, if I remember rightly. And I'm with the lovely Caitlin of Eat Your Heart Out. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, you're absolutely fine. The pleasure is all mine, I promise you. So, obviously, you are Australian or from Australia. What is the time difference for you? It looks very dark outside. What time is it for you at the moment? I always find it really interesting.
It's 7 p.m, so it is dark.
Yeah, for sure. So my day is just starting. Your day is just sort of coming to its conclusion. So, how's your day been? Has it been all right?
Yeah, it's been okay. Pretty chill actually. Went out for lunch with some friends. Had a bit of uni work to do because I just do like a bit of part-time study. Sure. Yeah, it was pretty relaxed. It was a good Sunday. The weather was beautiful today. We've just come into spring, obviously being opposite seasons. And the weather has been absolutely beautiful. So it was really nice. Blue skies, good temperatures. It was a nice day to be outside.
Amazing stuff. So obviously we're recording this on the 11th of September, and 3 days ago our head of state, our queen, passed away sadly. So it's very nice to talk about something other than that, which is kind of nice. So we're going to talk about some rock and roll music. But I want to start just and again, I don't want to touch on this too much because it's so boring. Everybody's over it. But obviously, the last couple of years have been difficult for everyone with the global situation at large. How have you found it personally? How's the band kind of handled it? How's things been in the last couple of years, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't ideal, obviously. It was, very unexpected through a lot of spanners in the works. But I mean, I feel like looking back on it now, like now that we're out the other side, it's like it is what it is. It kind of gave us more time to work on the record, I guess, like looking at it silver linings wise. And it was just, I guess, kind of all right to spend some time at home. I got 2 cats during
amazing
the pandemic. I didn't have any cats before, and now I have 2. So I guess that's a silver lining. So I'm pretty sure one of them's on the bed there. I don't know if I'm out of the way, but
what a beautiful baby. Love that.
So so I don't know. It's just it is what it is, really, isn't it? But
absolutely,
it definitely made me appreciate what we do and like what we get to do. So definitely feeling like revitalized and ready to really get back into it as much as possible.
Absolutely. And so obviously you've been busy being away making the new record, which is out everywhere now on all streaming platforms. And if you're old school, getting CDs and vinyls and all that stuff, I'm sure that stuff's available as well.
It is.
Can't Stay Forever. I want to kind of ask what gave you the inspiration to write these songs, because the reason why I asked that is because the lyrics are sort of quite obvious but not obvious, and I'm not going to ask you to divulge into the lyrics because I don't think that's really important or really kind of like it's very personal to you guys, and people take their own kind of inspirations from it. But kind of how do you go about writing these songs, because there is some huge hooks on this record, and for you guys, obviously in Oz, it's the perfect timing coming into spring, into summer. It's a real good summer record. But for us here in the UK, it's kind of like, it's nice walking through with all the summer, with the autumn leaves and things like that on the ground. It's quite nice. It's quite a nice autumnal album as well. So how did that come to be, making the record and things?
Nice. Well, I'm glad that it's versatile seasonally.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not. Yeah, that's ideal. But yeah, I mean, I guess like sort of answer the initial question. Like for me, I guess it's like everybody, but I just write songs about my feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
So it's really just like, I mean, most of them are about like a specific, like obviously, yeah, as you said, like personal to me, but
yeah, of course,
like a specific situation or like a relationship or something like that, and just like a moment in time, I guess, like how I was feeling about it at that moment, or like, you know, a series of moments over a period of time. But yeah, I definitely like, I think with writing lyrics, like obviously it's personal to me, but I try to write them in a way where it's not just like so specific that only I know what it's like. Yeah, I guess trying to find that balance of making it like relatable. Because I guess at the end of the day, that's like kind of what you want really, is people to relate to your song. So yeah, sorry, I don't know if that answered any of the questions.
No, that's fine.
All.
That's fine. That's cool. That's cool. I was gonna say it's one of those things. So, you know, I think there's a very obvious comparison to make with any female fronted rock band, and it's so obvious and it's so blatant. But that being said, I think you do have your own identity, and this is one man's opinion. You know, go out and listen to the record yourself, form your own opinions. But I'm the one doing the interview, so there we go. So it's kind of like there is enough sort of crunch in the guitars for me personally. So sometimes sort of the rock music of that kind of style can kind of go a little bit too wet or a little bit too soft, and it's kind of like, but there's enough of it to kind of hook you in, but then you stay for the melody, if that makes sense. Again, that's just one man's opinion, but I guess it's kind of, it must be a sense of relief now that it's kind of out there and you've kind of birthed it into the world. Because I know personally, when I do like podcasts and stuff and various things I do, it's like you're so secretive and protective of it, and then when you give it out to the world, it's kind of like it's no longer mine, if that makes kind of any sense. So it must be nice.
That makes total sense. I totally agree. It is a really good feeling. It's kind of, it's so exciting, but I feel like it's almost like, not sad. Sad isn't the right word, but there's definitely a weird feeling after you put the music out. Like, it's like you've worked up to this thing, like you spent so much time, you know, like we recorded this almost a year ago. So it's like, you know, writing it for a year before that. So it's like you spend like 2 years doing all this, and then all of a sudden it's just like out. And it, like you said, it's like not yours anymore. Like it's
for sure
everybody else's to, you know, to listen to and have their opinion on, and, you know, do whatever they want with it. So it is that, it's definitely a weird feeling. It's like, there's so much anxiety, I guess, leading up to it, just being like, you know, are people going to like it as much as I like it? Like, you know, and then all of a sudden it's out and there's nothing you can do about it. And there it is. It's everybody else's.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I guess, like, in the world of social media and things like that, you know, there is pretty instantaneous kind of reaction to anything and everything in the world. You know, you put out a tweet and it's like instant, someone can like jump on that, or with good or bad. So how's the general reception been for you guys in terms of the record? A thing that I've seen personally has been mostly positive, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, if anyone, I do see anyone on Twitter coming after you guys, I'll be like, leave them alone. They're my friends. Leave them alone. But no,
I love it.
Yeah, how has it been, the reaction to the record?
So positive. Has been so like lovely and receptive towards it. I was on the phone with my mum last night, and she was like, "Oh my god, like, it just, everything I've been seeing, it's been so positive. Like, people are loving it." And I'm like, yeah. So It's really I was like, thanks, Mum. I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been so positive. Like, I think it's had a really, really good reaction so far. Which is a great feeling that people are enjoying it. So yeah, it's been really, really nice.
That's really cool. That's really cool. You mentioned obviously your mum taking notice and stuff of the band. How did you kind of get into music and things? Was your parents musical, or did you come from a musical family? Is it just something you developed over time and learned that you could just do this with your voice essentially?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. Like, my parents love music. Like,
Mhm.
there would always be music on in
Yeah.
the house, and like just the car, the house, like everywhere, always music. My dad like played a bit of guitar, and I have an uncle that was always in like bands and stuff when he
Yeah.
was younger, and like some of my cousins were in bands as well. So I was kind of always exposed to it, and like everyone in my house, I guess, would always sing a lot. Like,
Mhm.
even if like even if someone's not a good singer or whatever, everyone would do it anyway. My
Yeah,
family
for sure.
loved karaoke.
Yeah.
There was always a karaoke machine at parties and stuff. So there was always a lot of singing. And I guess at some point I just like I would always have my CDs and sing along, and I really enjoyed it. And I guess at some point I was like, wonder if I can like do this and get better at this.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think I did have like a degree of not like natural talent, but like I had,
No, but
decent pitch and stuff to
yeah.
start with. So I guess that kind of like is encouraging when someone's like, "Oh, you're actually pretty good at that." You're like, "Oh, okay, maybe I
Yeah,
should
for
like
sure.
do this more." And then it was really when I got to high school in year like seventh grade at
Mhm.
um, our school, like everyone had to do music. It was compulsory, and you
Yeah.
kind of just had to pick an instrument and do it in front of everybody, which is terrifying as like a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and so I chose singing because I like to sing. So I stood up in front of the class and had to sing, and the teacher was like, "Oh, you're quite good at that. Like, you should sing in front of the whole school, like in a couple of weeks." And I was like,
Oh, wow.
um, excuse me. I was like very, very shy. But
Yeah.
she forced me to do it. She didn't give me a choice. She basically said, "You're getting up there." So I had to get up there as like the lead singer of the school band essentially and sing in front of the whole school, which was still to this day probably the actual scariest thing I've ever done. Like, I don't think I've ever been that nervous about anything.
Yeah.
But I guess afterwards I got that first like adrenaline kick, like, and
Of
you're like, "Oh
course.
my God, like I did it."
Yeah,
And then I was pretty
absolutely.
much addicted. And then I got into emo music and decided I wanted to be in a rock band, and here we are.
No, absolutely. And I think that's really cool as well, because I think with any kind of anything people want to do in life, and especially if you're in the creative kind of arts and industry, if it's music, if it's art, if it's whatever you want to try and do, I think the best way can be just a baptism of fire. And it's just like, okay, you don't want to go in the pool. I'm just going to push you off the deep end. You're either going to sink
Yeah.
or you're not. Like, do you know what I mean? And some people will inevitably sink, and yeah, fair enough. Like, do you know what
Yes.
I mean? But like, if you can swim against it, then amazing. And that's the thing. I think that's really cool. So that's awesome. In terms of touring and stuff, you guys played a lot of sort of in the home country and things, or have you guys been abroad a little bit? Or what's kind of been going on with in terms of touring and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, recently we haven't. Do you mean like in general, or like
Yeah,
recent
just kind of in
touring, or?
general. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we started out touring Australia just like basically as much as we could, like
Yeah.
DIY. As soon as we
Mhm.
were all out of high school, essentially, we started trying to get on as many like local tours and stuff as we could, and like went just DIY, like played sort of wherever with whoever would have us. So there was a lot of the scene back then around like 2015 when we started touring was very hardcore, like melodic
Yeah.
hardcore in Australia. So
Mhm.
we played with a lot of melodic hardcore bands for a while. Um, and then we got lucky enough to get signed to Fearless internationally. So then we got to head over to the US in 2018, and we'd been planning to like go back sort of 2020, but then obviously we all know what happened. And then so since like that's all sort of ended, like we went to Europe for the first time earlier this year, so that was our first tour back off COVID, which was like the best experience, like the best way to sort of get back into it. And then we haven't really played many Australian shows for a while, like a few years really, so we've got a couple planned for the album release, so we'll be announcing those soon. And just because of COVID, like we just hadn't really played much at all, obviously, like most people.
That's fair. I was going to say, do you get as a band and obviously personally, do you guys get nervous before stage, or is it kind of more just kind of excitement and kind of wanting just to get out there and get on stage? Does that make sense?
I think at this point, like I don't know if it's nervousness. Like there's definitely, you get a bit of like I get excited. Like there's definitely excitement, which I guess it's a form of anxiety, but I love performing, so it's not. For sure. The only time I ever get like nervous is if I'm having issues with my voice, like if I've been sick and I don't really know, like if it's out of my control and I don't really know what's going to happen. That's the only time I ever get like stress nervous. But apart from that, like if I'm healthy and whatever, it's just like excitement. But there's definitely, I think that some of the guys maybe get a little bit nervous. They like to have a few cheeky beers or vodkas before the show.
I mean, who doesn't?
I think that's part. So I think that's a bit of like, drowning the nerves. But it's I think if you don't feel a little bit of anxiety, then sometimes that's when like the show, there's like you need that to sort of harness that energy, if that makes sense. Like you need that tiny bit of jitters, and that's how it's like get out there and you just sort of channel it. So absolutely. That was a very roundabout way of answering that question.
No, that's cool. So I've kind of you're kind of my test guinea pig on these set of questions. So I've kind of created a quick fire set of questions. And they can be 1 or 2 word answers. They haven't got to really think about too much. But again, it's how you answer it. So I would like to know 3 things that you can't live without. It's not got to do with the band as such, but you personally, 3 things that you can't live without.
Okay. I would say it is cliche, but music would be one for sure. Caffeine. And my cats. Will go with my little babies.
Nice, absolutely. I've just realised as well, I've got my Doctor Who cat t-shirt on today, which is quite cool. It was just realised, I was like talking about cats, and I was like, cats. That's a reason to watch the YouTube video, if nothing else.
Yes.
What is the most important thing on a rider? If you had anything you wanted in the whole world, what would you have? Would be the most important thing on your rider?
Ooh, I mean, for me, if there's a sugar-free Red Bull on there, like I'm happy. I'm sorted. So I would say for me, the sugar-free Red Bull. I mean, getting, the good snacks and like a fruit platter and stuff is pretty bougie. Like you definitely feel pretty spoiled when you get all that stuff. But for me, the sugar-free Red Bull, chef's kiss. I'm sorted.
Absolutely can't beat it. And again, this isn't a choice if you have to pick, but small, sweaty club show or a massive festival stage?
I would say the small, sweaty club show.
Yeah,
for sure. The festival stage is a vibe too, but I feel like just like I don't know, the feeling of being in a small room where like everybody's really into the show and it's just like, just you're all in it together. That's kind of a vibe that can't be beaten.
For sure. And this is the one that I really want to know the answer to. When you're on tour, driving in the van, driving in the bus, whatever it may be, what are you listening to on the radio? What's on your playlist? What bands are being spun?
My goodness.
There we go. There's the pause just before the. Oh God, they're gonna realize I'm not a true rock fan. Damn.
Yeah. No, this one is tough, but I would say really take pride in my like playlist and like DJing abilities when I'm like on, I've got the aux cord or the Bluetooth or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So I put a lot of effort into it, but I know most recently when we're in Europe, I really kept circling back to Doja Cat's new record.
Amazing.
I just kept, Doja just kept popping up. So I would say, it's really like, I like to craft it in a way where you kind of don't notice how it's gone, but like, you'll be at like Spirit Box or something, and then the next hour you will have ended up at like Fleetwood Mac, but you don't even notice you've got there because it's so seamless. So I take a lot of pride in this when I'm given that control, but yeah.
I love that. See, that's always the thing that I have when I'm driving in the car and things. It's like, so I have a Spotify playlist of about 600 hours of music or something ridiculous, and it's literally everything I listen to, everything from like Stevie Wonder all the way to like the bleakest of black metal, and it's great because I just stick it on random, and then you just throws up everything and anything in between. And I don't want to call them normies, but I have friends who aren't per se into rock or metal music, and they'll be like listening to Taylor Swift, like shaking it off or whatever, and the next thing it's like Behemoth, and they're like, what the hell?
Like, how did we get here?
So I think I take your approach of being a little bit more streamlined with it, but I like it. It's all cool.
Yeah.
So obviously the record Can't Stay Forever is out now. What is the general plans moving forward that you can talk about? And I know that's always a double-edged sword with these type of things, but obviously just touring, I'm assuming, and then just getting out there as much as you can.
Yeah, that's pretty much hit the nail on the head. We're just trying to get to like as many places as we can. Really love to get back to Europe ASAP because we had such a good time there. So we're working on that. We'd love to visit the US again as well. So that's also on the priority list, and play a couple of Australian shows in between. And just get to play the new songs for as many people as possible. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely. So I like to kind of finish off on a couple of questions for you. And the first of which is, during, obviously, you guys have been around for a little while as a band. Have you met any of your musical heroes, or have you met anybody where you've gone, I need to hold it down, I need to stop fangirling, like just chill out?
Yes, I do. We've got to meet quite a few very cool people. For me, the one that always sticks out in my mind was we played Download Festival Australia a couple of years ago, and Code Orange played, and their green room was right next to ours. And we're all such big Code Orange fans. And we were like, I want to go say hello. And we were chatting to them, and they were so lovely, but they were so cool. Not in like a try hard way or anything. They just like exude coolness. Like they don't have to try. Like Reba is like the coolest person I've ever met. Yeah. And so we're all just like trying to hold it together, like, oh my God, don't say anything stupid. Like we're hanging out with Code Orange, like they're gonna think we're such like weebs, like, oh my God. So that was pretty one of the only times I can really remember where all of us were like kind of very like intimidated by the coolness and like woo. So that's definitely one that I always remember. Hopefully they didn't think we were too lame. They probably immediately were like, who were those losers? Like, I don't even know who they were.
You know what? I think it's one of those things where I've done 140 odd episodes of this, and it's kind of like been chatting to lovely people like yourself, and it's kind of like every time we go on just before the Zoom call is that pang of anxiety. I'm like, are they going to be an asshole? No, they're not. It's fine. Everything's good. Oh, thank God for that. And it's always just that pang of, but that's really cool to hear that Code Orange is super lovely. And Reba is like, she's just an absolute badass queen, isn't she? In the best possible way.
She is. Yes. I was like, just as soon as I saw we were next to them, I was like, oh, I just want to, like, I have to talk to her because like, she's so, as you said, just like such a badass. Like, holding it down for the, the girls, like absolute shredder. So I was like, I won't be able to live with myself if I don't say hey. But yeah, she was so cool. It was so intimidating just how effortlessly she was so cool.
I've always had a thought about, just off on a tangent real quick, about Code Orange, especially Reba, because their stage presence, they play like, really aggressive aggro hardcore music, and all the time just a face like they want to just strangle a cat or something. Do you know what I mean? Like just a super aggro. But I can just picture them getting on the bus and going, and I can breathe. Like, do you know what I mean? Just holding in all this aggression. I don't think they're angry people at all, but just that kind of, that persona they have on the stage of just being like, and then it's like, breathe. That's really cool to hear that they're
100%. Yeah. It'd be so funny to see like bands like that have that real like aggressive like stage presence, and then even when you do meet them, like they're really cool, but just to be like a fly on the wall in their van or whatever, when they're all just like joking around and being like weirdos, that would be pretty funny to see.
I love that. And I like to finish on one final question, and that is, you can take this as seriously as you like, or you can make it as non-serious as you like, and that is simply, what is the best thing about being in a band / being a musician?
I mean, I think getting to travel the world with your best friends is pretty cool. And just getting to play music and be involved in music, and just know that like something that you've created like resonates with people is pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it, that people actually want to listen and connect with your art. So yeah, I mean, it's all really cool. I don't think there's much of it that I don't like. But yeah, I mean, so that's the serious answer. I guess the non-serious answer is just getting free sugar-free Red Bulls every night. That's
There we go. I love it. Caitlin, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And I wish you and the rest of the band nothing but success with the album. I say I've had it for a couple of weeks and been spinning it ever since, and it's just a real nice breezy kind of summery vibe record, which I'm still holding on to summer just about. We get like 2 days in Britain, as you can probably imagine. It's not like
yes,
fortunately.
But this year your 2 days were like 50 degrees, so
it was actually disgusting. It was too hot. Like, and I like to think I'm quite a jovial person, but even we were at Bloodstock Festival, and it was just like, it's too hot. Like, we're intense. We're going, we need to go and see that band. And I was working pressing things for them, and I was like, I just can't. It's too hot. I just can't do anything.
I don't blame you. It did not look like a fun time.
But what always we laugh is, especially like Americans as well. They're like, "What are you worrying about?" Like, that's like, and it's like, yeah, but you have everywhere air conditioned. We don't. Like, we're not used to it.
No.
Different breed of character. But is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners at home, to your fans, and then we'll shoot off out of here?
Just thank you very much if you've listened to the record already. If not, Can't Stay Forever is out everywhere, all the streaming services. As we said earlier, if you still like CDs, vinyls, even cassettes,
bringing it back,
they are available. Yeah, so no excuses. You can get it on any format. But yeah, just thank you very much. And if you haven't listened, go check it out.
Absolutely. It gets Matt big seal of approval, which means nothing to a lot of people. But anyway, it's super cool.
I appreciate it.
It's been super fun. Thank you so much. We're going to do the quote unquote fake goodbye, and then we'll just chat briefly after. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and we'll catch you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Peace.